Welcome to Ask Lynn, everyone. And this morning with me, I have Jo Ellen. Jo Ellen, I guess, well, number one, she's a life coach. Number two, she sat so many years in healthcare that she finally made the pivot to being a health coach later in life. So, and she's a second-time guest on my podcast. So if you go way back in the archives of Butterflies of Wisdom, you can find her original interview. And so without further ado, I'm going to let Jo Ellen take it away.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thank you for inviting me and letting me be part of your show. I'm so excited. And yes, you're exactly right. I made the shift from the corporate world that was high stress, long hours that never seemed to end. 24 hours just didn't seem long enough, or it was crazy. So I became a life coach a couple of years ago, and I specialize in law of attraction exercises and processes, but I involve so many more things today. I do what we call mind mapping. I take people through creative processes, very logical to begin with, but then creative processes, and I help them retrain their brain to focus on what's good and juicy in their life, and it shifts people like I shifted out of my corporate career.
So, okay, you say law of attraction. You're talking about humans, or you're talking about or the human creative side? I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, law of attraction really there's so many laws of the universe, right? We have law of attraction, law of abundance, law of polarity, potentiality, give and take. But what law of attraction does, and the multiple universal laws that we have and live with, we know every single day of our life. What we think about comes about. So like you, Wen, who has, your disability and your health issues, and other people who are on this listening to your podcast, may have a lot of disabilities, but what's your goal? What do you focus on? You focus on being well. You focus on the feeling of, God, this was a great day. Law of attraction is you are your own personal magnet. So what's wrong in your life is always available to you. It's always there, whether in the history, future, present. But you know what? At the same time, what is right in your life is also always there. And sometimes when people look to a coach, it helps them retrain the brain to say, let me focus on what I want. I want to be well. I want to be strong. Or little incremental things, little shifts that says, I want to move better today. What do I need to do to get there? And I can recall, I can remember. It's like, oh, yes, that's what it feels like. It's the feeling. First, it's the thought, and focus on those thoughts, and then that creates the feelings, I can do this. And that doesn't happen all the time. We're all human. We all have where I call a disconnect from source energy, right, whatever people believe in. But your source, you're co-creating every single minute. You're not all alone in this, just like we all breathe oxygen. The very oxygen we're breathing today could have been oxygen that Mahatma Gandhi put in his lungs, or Leonardo da Vinci. That's powerful to know that we are always connected. So if in my role today, if I can help people shift from a negative bias, the worry, the contrast, the issues, and they're complex, right? They're not easy, but shift that and get to a better feeling place. That's law of attraction. That's working with your source energy. That's being a pure magnet and getting you to what you want. I mean, I always use, when I teach this class on infinite possibilities, I work with some very left brain men accountants and doctors, and they don't know about, visualization and meditation and exercises that shift your thought processes. And so I said, do you remember when you're falling in love or you graduated and you got your degree? Those things, or like you, when you finished your first book and then went on to write more, that feeling of success and pride and achievement, it's like the world blowing up and your heart opening up, and it's like, yes, I did this. It's getting back to those same roots, knowing that, yes, I did it before, I can do it again. And just sometimes people need a coach to help them get there again.
And so that being said, what is your favorite book that you have read?
Well, I am a bookaholic, a readaholic, so but probably recently I've been really working with Nick Ortner's the tapping solution, because I use that in my coaching to help people shift. And what that does is it crosses your brain from left brain to right brain. It gets them in a very real place. And what Nick does, and he starts with the issue. This is not all woo-woo. It's not all fun. You have to deal with life on life's terms. So he starts there and begins to shift your feelings. And I love that. And I think just a really phenomenal feel-good book is one with Radley Valentine, How to Be Your Own Genie. I mean, because we all, and I kind of feel like we're all our own genies. Rub that magic lamp, and those are your thoughts, and say, okay, pull out a thought I want to work with today. Because whatever we're thinking today does manifest tomorrow. You had to think about your book and then write it. Well, what do I want to do today? How many words do I do?
Yeah.
So you're rubbing on that genie. It's like, okay, I want the end goal of this book. So I love his book, How to Be a Genie, How to Be Your Own Genie, and Nick Ortner's. They're great, great books to have.
And so what has been your biggest fear in all this? I know you shifted out of the corporate world, which you guys know I'm trying to do. I'm trying to shift out of the educational corporate world as quickly as possible, but it's holding me in a spot where, it's like holding me in a spot where they don't want to leave, and I am trapped with the golden handcuffs of the paycheck, even though the paycheck isn't that high. So, Ellen, what made you want to leave the corporate world, and what is your biggest fear in all this? And then let's talk about your success.
Okay. Well, those are really good questions. Because I became a certified trainer of infinite possibilities about 3 years ago, I was at that time a vice president of a company managing emergency rooms across the nation. I was, like I said, literally working myself to death. And many years ago, I was very sick. I had a doctor tell me that I had 2 weeks to live. Well, that shifted. This is not how I want to end my life. I wasn't done yet. And I realized, first after having gone through that significant health issue, it took me many months to recover, but knowing I did it. And then here I am working in a job that was taking 24/7 of my time, my family time, my lifetime, my enjoyment. I go, you know what? Life is not always about just work. Yes, it is important to bring a paycheck home. But I said, if I really want to walk my talk, I better live it too. And I am in a truly authentic and in alignment with everything I believe. And that's what got me through 10 years ago. Do I believe everything I believe? Yes. And so all of a sudden I found like, okay, I'm up the corporate ladder. I'm making a good income, but am I happy? Am I living life? And so that shifted me. After working there for 3 years, it's like, you know what, this is not really what I want to do. I want to help people change their lives and say life is precious every single moment. 24-hour segments I work in. And so that shifted me. And my biggest fear now is, you know, I'm older, I'm sure, than, you know, maybe most of your audience. And, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, can I shift my whole career now? But you know what? Source energy, your source works in so many mysterious ways. And I really do believe in the magic of life, in the magic of what's next to come. It's always an adventure, whether you have health issues or financial issues or relationship issues. You know what? If you can just sit back and say, okay, I'm going to create my life, but I'm not in this all alone. I'm working with my brain. I'm working with my God, my source energy. I'm working with the universe. That, knowing that you've got somebody, a friend, always covering your back too, you're never alone. And that was my biggest fear, but my biggest shift too. I can do this at any age. That is a limiting belief. And I had to realize that for myself.
And, okay, I asked you, and you nicely wrote out which people should do. People, when I ask you these baseline questions, and I'm talking to my friends in general now, I need you guys to now write these out because you guys get so complicated on me that I need notes from you guys to steer these baseline questions. And now you said trusting in the universe to switch careers has been one of your biggest hurdles to come over, Jo Ellen, and why is that?
Well, because, you know, like you mentioned trying to move out of the educational system, but they've got golden handcuffs on you. It's a financial stability. My husband has been retired for many years. I have a son who has social anxiety issues, and I was the breadwinner. So it's like, can I do this? Well, at the end of the day, you know, I think it is, my advice is always, when you've got a job, you know, stay there until you see income shift, okay, in your personal goals. What I did is I took a bridge position with another company, helping them build a surgery center. I knew how to do that, so I extended that. And so once I knew I had a financial stability to really start coaching full time is when I made that leap. But I knew that it was time to leap from the intensity of the 24-hour job managing ERs across the nation. And so I did. I made a little shift to another job, and then I started full-time coaching. But I've been coaching, you know, part of my life, even while doing the ER job, and then even while working at the surgery center. So now I do it full-time, and that for me is what worked. But for people who still need the income each week, I tell them, okay, let me help you work through that. And I do. I have women who are young entrepreneurs, and I've helped them, you know, visualize money. And you know, it's not just visualization. It's really making hard, very concrete steps in the direction that you want to go. It just doesn't all happen with your thought. You have to take steps.
No, and you're right. When also, you guys, I will make a big announcement when Jo Ellen asks me my questions about my books and all that good stuff. But just to let you guys know, my books one is being finished this next week. I have now found an editor, which I'll be truthful how much that will cost me. But my editor is a fairly good editor. I found her through the Freelance Writers Association. So if you guys are looking to write a book, that is the ultimate place you can go. You can find them by state. You can find them all under different categorized, but we'll get to that in a minute and why I say that. But what is your deepest regret, Joellen?
I think my deepest regret is not doing what I'm doing now at 30 years old. I love what I do, and I love seeing people shift and become successful or reduce their stress, and it's literally taking a heavy metal coat off of you. It's like, oh, that was so heavy. I can let that go now. I can let that go now. That, when people feel the relief and a focus on where they're going, that's huge. It's a huge shift. It creates happiness. And at the end of the day, whatever we're striving for, isn't that all what we want? It's just to be happy, to feel secure, to feel loved. It's shifting people to a point where they can feel happiness and joy. And that, like I said, sometimes those are in little increments. Nobody's going to go from a really sad place to, oh, I'm happy and everything's great. That takes time, but there's tools that can get people there. So my biggest regret is not doing this 30 years ago.
And I apologize. You guys may hear my landline ringing in the background. No, I don't pick up my landline. It's normally a telemarketer calling in the middle of the day. I don't use my landline. We got rid of one phone number, but that's still the phone number that goes off occasionally. So I apologize for that. If you guys hear a telephone in the background, that's not my cell phone. That's my landline. Welcome to my life. So, Joellen, how do you see your work with disabilities, with people with disabilities manifesting?
Well, I think this is where I would ask you and your audience, for me, I know people with disabilities are just like everyone else. I mean, you have dreams, you have desires, you have frustrations, just like everyone else. To separate you really is, for me, separating a part of me from myself. Because even though you are in Colorado, I'm in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, it doesn't mean that we're not the same human soul that wants love and wants attention and wants to feel good and wants to feel well. So I would very much do many of the same processes for people with disabilities. If you've got a very hard time to write, I tape and I record, like you do on this podcast. I record my sessions so that you can listen to it over and over again, and so that you can hear your words, so that you can tape your words into a tape recorder. Or if you've got mobility issues, I'm not going to take a person with mobility issues through a mobility exercise. It's going to be adaptive to the needs of the client. But I solely and wholly believe that there is no difference in your life and your needs than those of anyone else who doesn't have disabilities. Yours are just as important, just as powerful, and you just have needs that may be physical or even mental, where you want things to shift a little bit in order to accommodate how you're showing up in your physicality. But that's all that is. To me, to say that there's any, it's important to honor where the client is and what you can do. But the same dreams and desires and frustrations will always be there. And it's important to shift that.
Yep. And what is your favorite podcast? I know you said something, and sent back to me, something about hidden brains.
Yes, I listen to a lot of different things, but, of course I love Hay House. I didn't share that on before, but I love Hay House. I love their podcast. But I love, if you go to Stitcher and there's a podcast on Hidden Brain, and it focuses on how people think. And because I focus on left brain logical thoughts and right brain creative thoughts, the meditation, the artistic side of ourselves, I thought that's really fun to listen to. Sometimes it's dry, but for me, it always fills my thoughts up with thinking in a different way. It's continually teaching me and shifting me to look beyond maybe what all of my tools in the toolbox. So I happen to like Hidden Brain. It's a great podcast for someone like me.
And so it's called Hidden Brains. So if you people just Google Hidden Brains podcast, I'm sure it will pop up, because Stitcher has a hard time finding podcasts unless you search for them within Stitcher. So I know you said Leonardo da Vinci at the top of this podcast interview, and I know you said you wanted to be educated by him. Normally I ask the question of who do you want to be educated and why, but you said Leonardo da Vinci. So my question to you is, what would you ask him?
Wow. What would I ask him? I would ask him, what is his routine? Because one of the most powerful things we can do in our life to shift our life is, what routines do we follow? Sometimes we get into the habits, the routines of, let's just say, not eating the right things. Or sometimes we watch too much TV or too much, gaming, right? What was his routine that allowed him to create and manifest so many things in art, in science, in medicine, in writing? I mean, his inventions. He had so many different things that he invented, and to this day, I don't know if the audience knows, but he created the design of the parachute that we still use to this day. People need routines, so it's powerful to have steady opening routines to your day. They're beautiful ways to start your day. For me, it's gratitude and meditation and tapping. And then I can go on about my day. But obviously, during his time, he didn't have that. But what did he do? Those routines set your energy and your mindset for the rest of the day. And then you close it up with a routine, a nighttime routine. And for me, it's meditation and journaling. Again, what successes did I have today? I'll put little sticky notes in a jar. This was a win today. It's a great, I love your name, Win. I'm a win. Win is what,
No pun intended.
Exactly.
No pun intended,
it's beautiful. I would ask him, what was your routine that allowed you to create so much?
Okay, so you would ask him more about, less about the artwork, less about the parachute, more about his routine that allowed him to go a million miles an hour and create beautiful artwork / the design of the parachute.
Right.
And so, where can people find you? And I know you're all over the place. I know you gave me an email address in your notes. And so where can people find you? How can they work with you if they choose to do so?
Well, I'm on Facebook. You could just, Google Jo Ellen Newman. It's 3 words, J-O, and then Ellen, E-L-L-E-N, Newman, N-E-W-M-A-N. So I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Jo Ellen New, and that's J-O-E-L-L-E-N-N-E-W. So 2 L's in there and 2 N's in there. And then I'm on Twitter as well, Jo Ellen Newman at Jen, J-E-N-I-P Coach. But if they wanted to just email me, I can send them all of that information. and I know this is kind of fast, so if people that might have to listen to it again, but my work email is JENIP as in Paul, or possibilities, coach, COACH, @gmail.com. So it's Jen,
and
my initials, ipcoach@gmail.com.
And I was just going to say, if you're driving or walking the dog, you may have to spin back and get her email address. I'll try to stick her notes up on the website so you guys can see what I'm talking about, how detailed Jo Ellen was. Jeez, she was detailed. And so I want Jo Ellen to ask me the questions she's been interested in asking me.
Okay. Well, I think you are the greatest example to people, whether they have abilities or other limited abilities. As you have evolved in your health issues, what new aspects about yourself did you see, did you realize? What were your aha moments that once you started your podcast and wrote your books, and now that you've experienced the success of those achievements, what did you learn about yourself?
Well, my aha moment in that, even though people were sick and tired of hearing about cerebral palsy, this is why I have now declared myself as an urban fantasy novelist and a young adult novelist with disabled characters using their disabilities as their strong points. I didn't realize how much hope I was giving to people, and this is God honest truth, that I didn't realize how much hope I was giving to people, and I didn't realize how this podcast has impacted people.
Lovely. I believe that. I mean, it's truly doing this. I think it's an inspiration for me, so you've got to be an inspiration for others. And so with that, did completing these beautiful successes and achievements, did that give you more confidence to write your second book?
Yes and no. Do I want to be a full-time writer and a full-time journalist? Yes. But do I want to escape the golden handcuffs of teaching career? Yes. But do I want to be a novelist? Yes, because people are sick of hearing about cerebral palsy. As I said, I mean, they would rather read a book about my crazy life in a novel than they would strictly about cerebral palsy, because novels are my strong point, and I'm editing a few right now with my editor and my ghostwriter, and the reason why I've taken time off is because of school. Also, my computer like literally broke in December, so I have a Mac. So you guys know I'm a Mac girl and talent. I never ever did I think I would be getting on a PC. Well, turns out that someone is nicely giving me a PC, and then after I graduate, although if you guys want to give me a Mac, that would be great. After I graduate college and earn my associate's degree in fashion journalism, I will be back to the land of Macintosh computers here. But if you guys want to support and give me a Mac and support all that, you're more than welcome to it. The PC was the better option because the team who's giving it to me, vocational rehab is Colorado, they could cover the whole thing And to be honest with you guys, they could only cover $700 of a Mac. So I'm like, I need this PC now. And as I said, I never thought I would be on a PC in my life. So even though I love my iPad and love my iPhone, it's not strong enough. So the reason why I've taken a little hiatus from my writing is primarily to concentrate on my journalism career, but because I haven't had technology since December, you guys, and enough of me bucking and squawking about this. I will get the PC. I will use the PC, but it won't be for my podcast. And once I figure out what I'm doing with my podcast, it will be back down to once a week, not Tuesdays and Thursdays, only Tuesdays, and I will edit my own podcast. Yes, I will edit my own podcast, and so I need you guys to help me, I guess, succeed in getting to the New York Times. I mean, I am working with an editor right now who knows the query letters I spent all day yesterday, being Sunday. Today's Monday the 26th. By the time you guys hear this, it will be Tuesday the 27th. And I spent all day yesterday figuring out who will accept adult novel and adult contemporary novel agent-wise. And so right now I'm in the process of getting a PC, but I definitely need a Mac. I mean, Windows 10 is perfectly fine for 1 to 2 years, but I'm a Mac girl at heart. So you guys need to help me and figure it out, and I would, they gave me the option of buying Mac, but at the same time, Rehab can only cover $700 of it, and whereas a PC they can cover all of it. So I said, well, I'll take the PC and you use it, and so it may be mine, I don't know, but temporarily we have a fix, but I really, really want a Mac, and I would be a happier camper with a Mac than a PC, but that's why I've taken the hiatus off of writing, because it got too much with a journalism degree and writing books and doing a podcast.
Wow. See, you're your own Leonardo da Vinci with everything that you're creating.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the best way is donating to your site. I know that you sent some information.
Yeah, well, every little bit helps, and right now, the donations will go towards paying my editor, because for developmental editing is a lot more expensive than copy editing, obviously. And then, but right now we're looking at a bill of $1,200, and so every little bit helps you guys. So it's going to go towards my book right now, and then towards Mac. But if someone flat out wants to give me a Mac, that's wonderful, good on them. But right now the temporary solution is a PC, and we'll see if I can keep that PC literally. But and if I can, great. If I need to use it and give it back, great. But I need assistive devices to help me, and I want to get my journalism degree in spring of 2019. So please, 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 I hate to sound like a broken record, but when your equipment breaks in the middle of December and you haven't had a computer since December and you've been working on iPad / iPhone, it's difficult.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very hard.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
yeah, no, I agree. Well, I have a feeling that you're focused on the right things and you're going to get your Mac. So, I can all help in that.
The journalism degree comes first, and then the Mac, and then the Mac, and then my books, and then I'll get back to my books.
Perfect. That sounds like an awesome plan.
Yep. So
I guess
what other question
do
you have for me?
I think my other question is, did you have fear with trying to do all of this? And how did you get through fears or your concerns to keep yourself moving forward and focused?
I didn't have fears about my book. I have more fears with an agent is going to pick up my book than I did about my presenting my story to the world. And because I accepted me having cerebral palsy when I was 6 years old, I have more fears about this stupid query letter that agents want to see, as well as they will throw me in a pen other than the trash can if they don't like my query letter. I have more fears about getting picked up by a traditional agent / publisher than I do presenting my story. And that's the God honest truth.
Okay. And so with that, how have you learned to shift that thought to attract a traditional publisher accepting your book? What have you...
I'm redoing my book right now. It's already been through the editing process, and we're in the process of tearing my book apart, putting new chapters in, making it longer because agents want 50,000 word novels if they accept it. So we're in the process of tearing my book apart, putting new chapters in, making it all cohesive. So that's what I'm using to calm myself down, that someone will accept this book.
Cool. So it sounds like you've been able to, create your plan and take those steps in that direction and know that, you're doing what you can to have the traditional editor, accept your book. So I think you're going to be very successful with it.
Well, I hope, and I haven't even gotten to the process, you guys, of re-editing. My book is still at the ghostwriters, and she says March 1, which is Thursday, and then she emails me this morning and says, I'm not sure about hitting March 1 deadline. I'm like, oh my God, I promised my editor March 1. So we'll see what happens with my book, but this book will be traditionally published. I hope to say in the next month, I hope to say by my 31st birthday that I've been picked up, and someone likes my diverse story there, but you never know who's listening to this podcast. I mean, I have a friend who I'm going to her podcast to shout out, who lost a job she lost a job in the journalism field in January because, as you guys know, the journalism field is quite tough. So this person lost her job in the journalism field. Lo and behold, she had a podcast. Someone from a big publishing house was listening to the podcast and presented her with the book offer. I'm actually interviewing her. Her name is Emily Pocock, and she hosts the Story Behind, and it's about a 5-minute podcast. And let's just say we're working together on a podcast about the story behind cerebral palsy. And I gave her that idea, and she took it and ran with it. And she has a story behind the pink slip, the story behind Betty White, the story behind you name it, she probably has it. And so she lost her job and now is working on a book based on the story behind, because someone was listening to a podcast and presented her with a book deal. So I'm really excited to talk to her about that. But that being said, you never know who's actually listening to your podcast. And that being said, I'm getting set up to put Ask Win in the Lady in the Tube. I won't say her name. It begins with A. You guys know who I'm talking about. I won't say her name because you guys will get mad at me if I set everyone's A off to all these different commands. So I'm getting through my podcasting host, the Lady in the Tube is going to help me spread my message even further. And so Nixon has a couple podcasts already functioning with the Lady in the Tube, and the Lady in the Tube. And I am super excited about that. So you guys will get to hear my podcast on your person in the tube eventually. Working on that right now. But, so I'm hoping to give you guys a solid update in the next couple months here whether my book is going to get picked up or not.
Okay, well, we're going to keep thinking those powerful thoughts that it's going to get picked up.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's
all we can do.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. And so you guys, I hope you enjoyed another fabulous episode with Jo Ellen and I. And I want to thank Jo Ellen for all her insights and everything she shared with us today. And we'll have more information about Jo Ellen in the show notes just in case you guys want to go look with it. And so I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode of Ask Win, and I hope you guys can share this episode out to make the Ask Win community even bigger and stronger. And please, please, please donate anything you can via PayPal. To me, every little bit helps right now, and I'll be fine with the PC. It's just a scary, daunting task. Windows 10 is a scary, daunting task, but I'm more of a Mac girl, and I will be back to the land of Macintosh after I graduate. So I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode, and I will catch you guys later. You can always find me on Twitter at Win Kelly, Kelly, Win, WIN. Yes, that's my legal name. And so I hope you guys enjoy and have a terrific day, and let's go manifest good thoughts. You guys, bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks, Win. Bye.